But my biggest lesson that I would give other people is,
so the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets Show. Today we've got Daniel Gluckin with us. He's been in real estate for 5 years. He runs a team of 5, selling 200 plus homes a year out in the Durham area of North Carolina. He's going to bring some heat for you guys today, talking about social media, marketing, building teams, and leadership. This is going to be a good time. Daniel, thanks for jumping on the show with us today to share your top 3 secrets to doing fucking 200 homes a year and out there crushing it, man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. We did that last year. We're hopefully going to do even more this year. We've grown year over year. We've at least doubled since we've been together. So it's just going to keep on going, hopefully.
Holy crap, doubling.
Yep.
I can't even think about what that looks like, yet alone how you're doing it.
And my favorite part is that not just the team has doubled, but every single person on my team has doubled year over year since they've come along. And even the people that has been there from the beginning. And then we have a young lady who's been here for last year. She was here 6 months. This was her first full year, or 2021 was her first full year. And she like 10x'd what she did in her first 6 months. She went from 800,000 in 6 months. Last year, she did 8 million, and she's been in the game a year and a half.
Wow. But to give a little bit of context for everybody who's listening, obviously this didn't happen overnight. The team didn't happen overnight. One of your topics is building a strong team. But before we even dive into any of that, let's go back to day one. How did you get started? What did that look like? Take us through your first year of business and how you've built this empire that you have today.
So my first year started before my first year, in my opinion. I was a DJ for 10 years here in North Carolina. And I traveled across the country. And I did that for a long time. I was throwing parties and DJing. And I had a little girl. I had my daughter, my first kid. And I realized quick that with a little one, you don't want to be out till 3, 4 in the morning, because when you get home, she's waking up regardless of what time, you're getting home. She's pretty much going to wake up, and it's hard to sleep. And it just took a lot out of me. And I didn't want to be, and this is no offense to anyone who's doing it, but me personally, I didn't want to be a 40-year-old, DJ in the clubs full of 21-year-old, people. It wasn't my thing. So
isn't that why people do it? I thought that is the reason people do it. What are you talking about?
That wasn't for me, at least. It wasn't my dream. So I wanted to do something that was a little bit more solid, something I could do long term. I had some other people that I knew who were in the industry, and I was just seeing what they were doing, and I was like, I can do that. I was already marketing myself. I was already an entrepreneur. I was already, doing my thing, surrounded by people. I figured, let me do something that lasts longer, right? Because the club, the people that I knew in the beginning when I was throwing parties, they were all getting older, and it was harder for them to come out, right? The older we get, the less we're going out. So I was like, what can I do that I can still help those same people to do something, but it's actually they're getting married, they're having kids, they're buying homes. So that was my reason, I guess, for jumping into real estate. And then I joined a firm that my first year was probably, just like everybody else, it was the hardest year. It was extremely difficult. I didn't feel like I was getting very good advice from those who I was around, the broker in charge. I was asking questions on how to grow and, what to do. And the things they were telling me just weren't what I wanted to do. It was a lot of, door knocking and cold calling. And there's no knock to anyone who does that at all. It just wasn't my preference. If that's what it took to be successful, that's not what I wanted to do. So I I figured out the things that I like, which I'm sure we'll get into today, the social media stuff, the video, the content creation, just making myself known as a premier person around the area and having people come to me. That's how I wanted to grow my business. And that's what prompted me to start a team as well, because after my first year of kind of transitioning from what everyone was telling me to do to go into what I liked doing, and it started to work, I was like, you know what? I want to help other people grow quicker together, right? To join other people and help us all grow faster. And I thought that I had the expertise now that I could help others get past, like maybe their first year could be a little bit better than my first year, because now I'm the one giving them the advice that I felt was the future of how this stuff is going to work. So that was my inspiration for getting the team together. The first 4 people on my team are still here. I've never had any turnover. I've never had anyone leave my team, which I think is another strong thing. I've gotten rid of a couple people, but you're as strong as your weakest link, and some of those guys just didn't cut it. So, but that's kind of how I got here.
So what were your first year? How many deals? Second year, how many deals? Type thing.
So, man, I should have looked this up before. I know
even an idea is fine.
It took me 6 months to make any money my first year. I remember that.
All right.
And that was a big deal for me because I had a certain amount saved up, and I told myself I was going to keep going until, I'm $0. And the craziest thing, this is a true story. I told myself I was going to go until I had $0 in my bank account. And the day I got paid, I had maybe $20 in my bank account. And that's the day I got paid. And most people would have quit before then, but I just had that belief, that strength, that faith that, no, this is going to work. And then the first one became 2, and then 2 became 4, and 4 became 8, 8 became 16. I probably did maybe 15 deals my first year again, but the first one took me 6 months. And it's crazy because everyone I knew I was a real estate agent, and it still took that amount of time.
It's so interesting because the reason we love to know this is because it's like some people listen and they'll hear your success and they kind of assume that it just came easy. Like you woke up day one and I'm not saying everyone's like that. So I love to get context behind it because so many realtors in that beginning stage almost quit. Like even the hyper successful ones were like a year in, they're like, dude, I made no money. We had, one of our other guests, Durham, I think he did something like 20,000 in his whole first year, but then did 200,000 or 100,000 in his second year. And he was like, it just took me a year to kind of figure everything out. And he's like, he was like, I knew I wanted to do it, but he's like, it's hard. And it just gives context. It's like, listen, you're crushing it now, but those first 6 months, you just ate shit for 6 months and didn't have anything, Yeah.
I think I tell this to my team or anybody who's just starting out, but like, if you think of a rocket ship, what's the beginning of just getting that thing off the ground is when you burn the most fuel, the most, you see all the thrust. It's just to get it a couple feet, right? And then the higher you go, it just starts to go on cruise control. And that's exactly how starting a business is. It's going to take the most work in the beginning. That first lead is the hardest one to get. But your 100th, literally, you do nothing, right? Like it just comes to you if you're doing it correctly. Yeah. So you get past that first jump, it's hopefully gets on cruise control if you keep doing the right thing.
There's a saying, isn't there, where it's like your first million's hard, your second million's inevitable.
Yep.
That's the way it goes. And it's so true because anything in business, I mean, me and Peter experience this in our own businesses as well. It's like just getting things off the fucking ground and just all the work you have to put in now foundationally to reap maybe 6 months down the line. Maybe that lead comes through 6 months later. But if you didn't have that conversation today, there isn't no reaping in 6 months, is nothing. And in 6 months, if you find that same lead, it's another person, but the same one, it takes another 6 months. So it's like start sowing now so you can reap later. Now, one of the things that you touched on, and I know this is your first topic, so I'd love to dive right in, is how you were essentially taught traditionally, and then you figured out, actually, I kind of want to do this other stuff, which is exactly what me and Peter focus on, where it's like, oh, do you want a cold call and door knock? And we've met rock stars in those niches and they love it. So we're not saying it doesn't work, but we think there's higher leverage, higher value driven activities, which are social media. And we've, again, found all our success. That's what we teach as well. It's like, we focus predominantly on Facebook, but we just love it. And it's because it's like, we just have unlimited leverage, basically. Like, we can take it as far as we want to take it. So take us through social media, what it means to you. And
social media is everything to me. I have a lender who he asked all my clients how they found me, right? Like, hey, how'd you get with Daniel? And every single one of them says some social media website, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or, one of those things. And he says, I'm the only agent that gives him clients that's the case. Everybody else, it's a friend of a friend, or I met him at the grocery store, or whatever. Mine's all, I saw him on Instagram or something like that. So my claim to, not claim to fame, but my ability to be successful is 100% because of social media. And there's an exact correlation, and my team knows this, is an exact correlation on who posts the most and how much business they do. And if you take a couple weeks off, you're going to have those couple weeks where you don't have that much going on. And then if you start killing it again, you're going to just start getting busy. So it's really, really correlated. And I love it because it's super fun. Just posting something and accomplishing something, whether it's like a short video or something long form on YouTube, or, just a cool picture that you took. It's a rush, right? It's fun. You get comments. The likes are obviously very nice. The DMs I get, about people who want my help. It's just like, there's no better feeling. And it turns into making, the ability to take care of your family and all of that stuff. So it's really, it can't be beat, in my opinion.
When you say social media, then if we go a little bit granular, what platforms do you use? How often do you post? What type of posts do you do? Or videos do you do? Like, just from the social media high level, let's just break it down to a lower level. So people listen, be like, okay, Daniel gets great success on these platforms doing this.
It all starts on Instagram for me. That's kind of the home base. I like to do a little bit of everything. If you go to my page, so it's at Daniel G, the Realtor on Instagram, you'll see videos, you'll see posts, you'll see, my favorite thing is that you won't see just me. That's what I like. I think that's one of my differentiators. You won't see just a bunch of under contract, just sold. To me, that's like the most least personable thing that you can do. But you'll see my clients, you'll see happiness, you'll see them excited. Some of my top liked posts aren't even me. It's other people, just fulfilling their goals and dreams. And I think that that's something somewhat rare that I've been able to figure out, is that it's not like, I don't necessarily have to be on every day, because I have content from other people that my folks love to see. People come to my page to kind of feel good and get excited and be motivated. And that's kind of what's there. I love doing, silly stuff as much as possible. That's always kind of the stuff that the most people like to see. You want to have fun. You want to take a little bit of a break when you're on your phone sometimes, and it doesn't have to always be serious. But my biggest lesson that I would give other people is, at any given time, most of the people you're following aren't in the market to buy or sell a home. So if you're just constantly bombarding them with, hey, this house is for sale, again, it works for a lot of people, but most people aren't going to buy that house, right? So you have to fill the timeline with things that are still of value, that are fun, that they want to see, that are maybe helpful in other ways. So, from maybe your favorite restaurant to, a picture of your kids, like that's all stuff that people want to see when it comes to your social media. I don't have a private page. It's for the world to see. If there's something private, I just don't post it, right? But, I'm more than a real estate agent. I'm Daniel Gluckin. I'm a dad. I'm, a family man. I have friends. I like to do things. I like to run. I like to work out. And that's what I think people need to get to is that it's okay to show your full self, because the people who reach out to me for help in real estate, they already feel like they know me. They already trust me, hopefully, and those are the type of leads that I don't really have to prove myself for, because I've been doing it on my social media for years, and I'm going to be able to tell them exactly what they need to hear. They're going to listen. They're going to learn. It's just a lot easier, the type of clients I work with, because we feel like we know each other, and it's much easier for me, at least.
Can I just say, because I'm looking at your page as you were talking, I freaking love what you do. The silly pictures, how you incorporate your clients. If anybody's listening, I highly encourage you to go to Daniel's page, because you're on to something. Like, I'm looking and I'm literally drawn to keep scrolling through every single post. Something as simple as you just running with your team, or changing a light bulb, or I see some pictures with your kids. I see you having a sold sign in front of the house with the clients. It's just such a fresh spin, as opposed to just a picture of a house, which is what I do. Say, just close, do what I do. I'm like, I got to step my shit up.
Look, it takes extra work, right? And if you keep scrolling, one of my favorite little series, and I need to get back to it, but when I list a home, most people, right, you do under contract or just listed or something like that. I was going to the house, right, which sometimes we're on the couch. We don't want to drive to the listing again. We've already been there a bunch of times. But when it's under contract, I go to the house with an under contract sign, and I took a photo of me holding the sign under contract, but I would pose in a really cool way with a wide angle lens. And I would add on CDs back in the day, they had the parental advisory.
Oh yeah,
sticker on them, on the hip hop CDs and stuff.
Yeah, I see it.
You see them, and it would look like a mixtape cover. And then I would have album tracks underneath in the description of
track list. Sellers got the bag. No off season featuring J. Cole. Wait till you see the sold price. I love it.
I had WAP. There's the WAP song, which was popular, but I changed it to Wrap Around Porch. There was, and that was one of my favorite things, and the people loved it. And that's, again, it's just a next step from taking a picture you already have, putting under contract with a little cutout of yourself or whatever you might doing. And that, to me, is the differentiator
that's huge. So one of my observations, I want to make an observation, then I've got a question. So my observation for everyone as well listening, and whether you've thought about this, I'm sure you have, Daniel, or not, but it's Daniel's built himself a personal brand. He's talking about social media, but what he's actually done is built a brand. Now, what a lot of people get tied into is they think people do business with realtors because of brokerages. They do business with realtors because of people, right? So the power of what you've done here is that, let's say, whoever you're with, let's say you're with KW and you want to go to Compass, for example, it's your brand can just move with you. It makes no difference. You've still got the same thing, and no one else even needs to know. It's still the Daniel brand, the Daniel G Realtor brand, and this is what we want every realtor to do. It's actually start building something you own, because once you've owned a brand, you build your own brand. Then no matter where you do what you do in life, whether you go off in 10 years, you set up your own brokerage, makes no difference, because you've owned that asset for 10 years. You've consistently built an asset for 10 years. And if you're posting the content, you're doing all that good stuff, people are coming to you. They don't give a shit who you're with. They give a shit that they have a great experience with you and you do a great job, which isn't going to change. That's the beauty of it. So for all those listening, it's actually what he's done is built an amazing brand and people want to work with you. Now, my question, that was my observation. My question was, are you finding all your leads now, are they all organic, or do you do paid as well for the social media side of things?
Yeah, currently all organic. We don't spend a dime on paid anything. I used to pump a Facebook post or an Instagram post, if I want a couple more views on it, but it never really amounted to much. It just made it look, stronger, right? But it didn't really amount to anything specifically. We don't pay for leads. We don't do any of that stuff because we don't have to yet. It's not anything I'm against per se, but the types of leads that come inorganically aren't my favorite types of leads, right? They're They're folks looking for the best deal, or what do what are you going to charge to list my home? I don't battle for my listings. Those people come to me. There is no, I'm meeting with the next person tomorrow. It's no, I want you, it's, I charge 6%. There is no conversation about anything less. It's no, it's 6%. You keep moving, that's something that, because these people have known me for a long time because of what I can present to them, there's no question about it. So I prefer organic, natural, trusting leads compared to the paid stuff, which, again, no knock, right? People do they're doing millions in those leads. It's just what my preference is, and fortunate enough not to have to yet. So that's kind of what. As long as it's going to keep rolling and we keep doubling, we'll keep doing what we're doing.
So your 200 per year, basically all coming from your Instagram account?
Instagram, Facebook, and then from that, right, my past clients referring new clients, stuff like that. But yeah, there's been no paid, we don't pay Zillow a dime. We don't pay, if it's Facebook, it's like throw $30 to boost this post, but we don't do it on the regular.
Wow, that's insane. What that tells me as well is you have insane client relationships and they have an amazing experience because you've obviously got a good referral database now. I mean, that's incredible to keep doubling as well through 100% basically organic and referral methods over 5 years is fucking
dude,
ridiculous.
Just take a look at his Instagram. I'm absolutely mesmerized. I'm walking like the shit you did for Halloween. It is so funny. It is so catchy. I'm literally like a quarter down in your page, which is really fucking creepy for most people. It's like
No, that's what I want, man. I appreciate that. I try to keep my page, like every post hopefully is a little different too. Like there are some similarities, but some pages that might do where you'll look at it and it's like, they have specific 1, 2, 3, and it's all the same. Like you can kind of go down the page and you see like it might be a picture of them in the middle and then a picture of another contractor on the right. I like to keep it a little funky, if you will, because it makes you stop and scroll a little slower because there might be the best thing right here and then something cool right here. And it's just like, I don't know.
You mix it up, which is nice and fresh. One of the things that I have a question for you, because I know people are going to look through your page, is you take a lot of pictures of your clients. Do you do it after the closing, before the closing? Like when do you go to the place? You have a photographer. I'm assuming because you're investing a lot in your brand, is professional photography part of that?
Yeah, so that's a couple questions in one. I'll start with and remember everything you asked me because I might forget some of the stuff you asked. But for number one, as far as the sold sign stuff with my clients, which I get 1,000 likes on some of those posts. On closing day, the morning of closing, when we do the final walkthrough at the home, that's when we take those pictures. Before we get to the closing attorney, we go to the home, we do our final walkthrough, make sure everything's all good. That's normally a quick part. And then we go out front. I have my signs, I have my camera, which I'll get to the next part. We take all the pictures, then we go to closing. I normally I have a device to transfer from the camera to my phone in like a second. So I put all the pictures on my phone. I'll edit them kind of like during closing, and I'll kind of tell everyone like, hey, I'm not being rude. I'm just kind of like getting the pictures ready to go. And then, most closings, you go through the closing and then there's like a gap where like the attorney has to make copies or just whatever. That's when I send them all their closing pictures. Like I airdrop them to them and then we have them. And it's just like this really cool moment. They can see all the pictures. And then right after closing, normally myself and the client will post their celebratory, photos. I have clients who use me because of the photos, because they know their closing day photos will be super fun, super popular, and they'll get a bunch of likes, right? So people literally...
So you actually take the photos yourself?
So I do everything myself. And that's one of my investments, right? And I learned that as a DJ. I remember I rented equipment once. I was like, why the hell am I renting equipment? I could just buy everything and then I own it and I know how to set it up. And I had all my speakers, I had my turntables, I had everything. So I could throw a party anywhere, right? And I didn't have to rely on anyone else. With this stuff, I own all my cameras. I own my lights. I own, microphones and all that good stuff. And I figured out how to do it, right? If you want to take a picture of yourself, you use a tripod. It's not that hard. And a timer, you learn all that stuff. And now I don't have to pay anyone a dime. I don't have to wait on anyone. I don't have to rely on anyone. I don't have to schedule on anyone. I don't have to wait on anyone. So it's all immediate. If I have an idea and I'm like, oh, I could film that, or I could take that picture, I just go and do it. It doesn't cost me anything minus the equipment, which is a tax write-off. And that to me is a big differentiator. I know it's not something that everyone can do, but you can learn anything you want to learn as long as you have the goal, right? So YouTube it and figure it out. But yeah, I do all my own stuff.
I think all the realtors, though, who are listening, all have unique value propositions that they can bring. So there'll be things, it could be something so stupid like your uncle who's, Jeff down the street who does all the moving, and you can get crazy rates on moving. So like your thing is like, hey, I can get you moved for $1, a penny on the dollar comparatively. So like this moving won't cost you $3,000, it'll cost you $1,000, and like there's just everyone, it's like, okay, maybe you can't do photos and videos and all that good stuff, but there is stuff you can definitely do that will allow you to stand out in your market over other realtors, 100%. So don't get tied on just that. What I want to do, because we've spoken about video and Pete he's still stalking your Instagram. He's just scrolling through. So everyone who hasn't, you need to go and check out his Instagram.
Dude, how can you not? It is literally it's like eye candy. It is so, so good. So I highly recommend you go and check out Daniel's Instagram.
Oh, and by the way, would you consider yourself a maverick? Are you an agent, team leader, broker owner who's constantly striving, pushing boundaries and smashing goals? Well, we've already helped over 100 agents cross $100,000 and up in GCI per year. So if you're interested in learning more about our courses and coaching to help you scale your business, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.